the Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. Now remember, if you want to start your own podcast, I would highly recommend using Buzzsprout. My guest today is Zakithi Mkhize from South Africa. In this episode, we find out how she had a dream of being a medical doctor that did not work out as planned. However, life led her to still pursue an academic career in medicine. Currently, she is a PhD candidate in medicine at the HIV Pathogenesis Program at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, South Africa. Her research is focusing on a particular gene called the transactivator of transcription, better known as TAT, which enhances HIV replication and its interaction with the host transcription factor, P-TEFB. She studies how genetic variation in TAT can affect its interaction with P-TEFB, efficient transcription, and latency. Latency is a major barrier for HIV cure. Thus, her research will inform HIV cure studies. Zakithi has also got a YouTube channel called BlackGirlScientist. The channel is geared toward motivating, encouraging, and inspiring young Black people, especially Black women, to get into science. She shares her journey through science as well as her knowledge and expertise, breaking the stereotypes and making science cool. Lastly, in this episode, we also talk about the Celebrating Youth in STEM, Black in STEM campaign that we are running together in collaboration with the Root of the Science and BlackGirlScientist. We talk about the importance of this campaign, especially during South Africa's Youth Month. Do stay tuned. Hi Zakithi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Anne. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you. I'm so excited to talk to you, to hear everything that you're doing, and for the listeners to just get to know you a little bit better.
I'm super excited as well. I've been waiting for this.
All right. In that case, while the momentum is so high, tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're based, your age, and what you are currently doing.
Okay, so my name is Zakithi Mkhize. I am 26 years old and I reside in Durban. I've lived in Durban all of my life. I grew up here. I am currently a PhD candidate at the HIV Pathogenesis Program. This is an organization that's based on the University of KwaZulu-Natal's medical school campus. That is what I'm currently doing now.
Okay, fantastic. So that sounds like some pretty interesting research. But before we even go into that, for those that don't know, you call yourself the Black Girl Scientist. So tell me, how did that name come about, or why do you refer yourself as Black Girl Scientist? I love it, by the way.
Thank you. I actually refer to myself as Zakithi, but I chose Black Girl Scientist for the purposes of my channel and the kind of branding that I wanted to do around myself, to represent myself. So the name Black Girl Scientist, it literally comes from a representation of myself. I'm a Black girl that's a scientist. And also, we're living in the era of Black girl magic. So that also really inspired the name for my channel and the way that I represent myself. So yeah, that's where the name Black Girl Scientist comes from.
Fantastic. I love it. We're going to get into your channel a little bit later. But beforehand, I just want us, because like you said, you are a Black girl who's a scientist. So in that sense, take us on a journey then on how you got into the science, the roots of the sciences, and, some of the influences that got you into this field.
Okay, so my background in terms of how I ended up in the science field that I'm in now, I recall being really interested in physical science and life science, which is biology. It was called life science when I was in high school. Back when I was in high school in grade 10. So I really, really loved those subjects. And although I found the physical science part really challenging, like I loved that challenge and I loved, working hard at it and proving that I actually can do it. So the interest in the science field really started, I'd say in my high school career when I chose, the subjects of the science kind of stream. So I did life science, physical science, maths, basically the subjects that you need to go into STEM or medicine, engineering, things like that. So that's where it really started. I had a really, really passionate life science teacher, and she really passed on her passion for the subject to me. And I feel like it's so important. When you talk to someone and they're so passionate about it, it's like you almost engulfed in their passion for what they're talking about as well. So that's where it started, and then from there, when I matriculated, I applied for medicine. I didn't get into medicine. My second choice was a Bachelor of Science. Although I wasn't disappointed that I didn't get into medicine, I was really excited about this whole Bachelor of Science. It seemed very foreign to me because I feel like we're not really explained to in high school about, doing the sciences, like the Bachelor of Science. Like, we're always pushed to do major things like medicine or law or engineering. Yeah. So it was kind of an uncharted territory for me that I was really interested in because I was interested in the subject of science. So when I saw Bachelor of Science, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, And I chose majors that were familiar to me from high school. So things that I had studied before in my life sciences class. I did a genetics and microbiology major in my undergraduate degree. First year was super tough. I'm sure and everyone who's listening knows that it's a major jump. It's a major jump from high school to first year. It was super tough. Super, super tough. And then in my second year, and this was when I started actually doing more specialized subjects, so subjects from my major, which were genetics and microbiology. And this is when I actually really started to enjoy it. I was getting the hang of being in university, and I was really now studying subjects that I enjoyed. I started getting distinctions in these subjects, and that carried on until my third year. And then I did my honors in microbiology. And the reason I chose to do my honors in microbiology was because of advice that I had gotten from my people that were ahead of me. So this is something that I've always done in my life, is use the people that are ahead of me to help me. So I had, been exposed to postgraduate students in my undergrad, and I really asked them for advice as well as doing my own research. So I did my honors in microbiology, and it was the toughest year of my whole university career. My honors year was my toughest year. It is super tough. Education in microbiology is notorious for being tough. And it's because we do a research project. So that's, when you have to work in the lab and produce a thesis from that, as well as coursework. So there was just a lot to balance. So I did my honors in microbiology. I did well for that. Also, I got a distinction for my thesis. And then I kind of switched gears to medical science now. So I saw a post from the HIV Pathogenesis Program where I am now, and I had a really great genetics mentor at the time, and I was actually going to do my genetics, my master's in genetics under his supervision. But late in my microbiology year, so in like November, the HPP, HIV Pathogenesis Program, released this post, and I've always been interested in doing HIV research. So I've always actually been interested in the medical science part of life and not really the medicine part. So it was really like an epiphany for me. I saw the post, I applied, I got shortlisted for an interview. I went to the interview, which I actually thought I bombed, because for the interview you have to have read, they send you an article to read, and then they ask you questions on the article. So it was super tough. It was a tough interview. I actually thought I bombed the interview. And then I got the letter, the "we are pleased to inform you" email that we love so much. I got that, and I got in, and I was like, oh my gosh. And the HPP, the director of it, HPP where I'm at, which is Prof. Tumbindungu, he's an absolute superstar in the HIV field, major attractor of funding. He has many collaborations in the US. He literally, to me, is the Beyonce of HIV research here in Africa. So, I mean, when I got in there, I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is really where I'm meant to be. So I did my Master of Medical Science at the HIV Pathogenesis Program, which I received cum laude in 2018. And I loved the research that I did so much during my master's that it only made sense for me to pursue my PhD, which is what I'm currently doing now. Still based on HIV research, but something slightly different, slightly more novel, of course, because when you're doing a PhD, you need to do done before. And yeah, that brings me to where I'm at right now, and I'm absolutely 100% content with where I am in my life right now. And I love the research that I do, and I belong to an amazing organization as well.
Wow, what a story. What a journey. I mean, so many congratulations along the way. That sounds fantastic. And like you said, it's great how initially when you were in high school, we all get told to be a doctor, be a medical student, and you applied to be a doctor. But here you are, even though it didn't go according to plan, but you're still in that sort of medical field, which is amazing how everything works out like that.
Absolutely.
And it's really, really fantastic. So you said you love what you're doing. You're at your PhD. You received cum laude in all of your parts. I'm sure everybody listening is like, oh my God, this girl, what? Yeah, that's fantastic. And you said you love what you're doing. And in terms of what you're doing, you're currently involved in HIV cure research. And the research topic focuses on a particular gene called the transactivator of transcription, which enhances HIV replication and its interactions with host transcription factor, positive transcription elongation factors. Wow. That is a mouthful. Wow. So
say it like, whoa.
Whoa, that is a mouthful. So now for all of us people who have no idea what I just said, can you just tell us what it is, what you're actually doing, explain to us and why it is so important for you to do this research?
Absolutely. So like you said, I'm looking at a particular gene called the transactivator of transcription, which is TAT, that's TAT. So I started looking at this gene in my master's years. I was looking at how genetic variation within that gene affects disease outcome. So this was kind of a more simplified version that I'm giving you so you guys can understand. We basically just looked at how does the sequence of this gene called TAT, how does it change, and what effect do these changes have on disease outcome? So in looking at a measure of disease outcome, we used viral load. So we used viral load of patients to see if a patient has a gene, this gene TAT with a particular mutation, is their viral load different from someone who has a TAT with another mutation? So that is what I started doing in my master's year. So now I'm looking at how, because during HIV replication, so what happens with this gene called TAT is that during replication, it is recruited to an HIV promoter. So when it is recruited to this promoter, it recruits other factors, which is where the host comes in. So the host factor that I'm particularly interested in looking at right now is the positive transcription elongation factor B, which is the P-TEFB. So TAT interacts with P-TEFB, which is this host transcription factor. So now, because previously I've looked at how variation in TAT affects disease outcome, now I want to look at this protein-protein interaction. So how the TAT protein interacts with the host P-TEFB. If there's a variation in TAT, does it affect its ability to recruit this P-TEFB and thus allow efficient HIV replication to occur? So that's what I'm looking at now. And this, it hasn't been done before. There've been different studies that have been looking at P-TEFB alone or TAT alone, not a lot looking at the protein-protein dynamics between the two. So in looking at this, yes, the combination of the two. So in looking at this, because I'm looking at HIV cure, I'm looking at how mutations in TAT, if they affect its ability to recruit P-TEFB, does that allow the cell to replicate actively, or does the cell go into latency? So now latency is when HIV cells are infected with the virus, but they are not producing new virions. So this is the major barrier to HIV cure that we are experiencing now, these latent reservoirs. This is where the virus hides, and this is where when people are on treatment, for example, and they stop treatment, and then there's what we call a viral rebound, and the source of this viral rebound is from these latent reservoirs. So we really need to find ways to target HIV reservoirs, and I'm hoping my research is going to be able to inform these kind of studies that we're doing on HIV latency and reactivation.
Wow, Zakithi, that's so interesting. That is very interesting. No wonder you are so excited about what you're doing. It's very, very interesting. And I like how you pointed out that now you explained the science behind it, how, like you said, that people who stop taking their treatment because they think, oh, I'm getting better. So that's when, like you said, that it's in that latency period, right? Yeah, so basically people who stop taking treatment, there's what we call a viral rebound. So when the virus becomes active again in that patient, the source of the virus is from the latent reservoir. Oh, okay. That's so interesting.
Is that the treatment targets actively replicating virus in the body. So as soon as usually a person stops taking treatment because they feel well, they feel healthy, there is very little actively replicating virus. But as soon as they stop, now these cells that are latently infected, so these are cells that are infected with the virus but are not producing new virions, these cells become reactivated, and now the viral load in the patient increases because now these cells are activated and they're producing new virions.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now we have all learned something, definitely. So now, HIV research has been going on for a long time, and so I wanted to ask you, was the high HIV prevalence, particularly in South Africa and in KwaZulu-Natal as a whole, a major driving factor for you to actually pursue this research? Because I think in South Africa, correct me if I'm wrong, KwaZulu-Natal, the province that you're based in and where you're doing your research, has got the highest HIV prevalence in the country.
Correct.
Yeah, so now was that a major driving factor for you to do this research?
Absolutely, 100%. The fact that I reside in South Africa, when I started doing this HIV research at the HIV Pathogenesis Program and seeing, the gravity, of the situation. I mean, in sub-Saharan Africa alone, we account for 70% of the total number of global infections. So of all the infections in the world, 70% of them are in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah. So this was a major also driving force for me, because and this is also why I didn't stop at my master's. I felt like I would be abandoning the research that I had started, and I feel it's my responsibility to contribute to the scientific community and contribute to HIV cure research. So that was definitely also a major driving factor for me in pursuing my studies even further.
No, definitely. I understand when you put it like that. We do need people like yourself continuing this research to find the cures.
Yes.
So now, you mentioned earlier that you have a YouTube channel, right? And that's where the whole BlackGirlScientist came about. So then I just want you to explain what brought on the need for you to be like, I know you joke because I know you personally that you are that, hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. What brought you to do this, for you to be that girl, but again, but as BlackGirlScientist, what made you say like, okay, this is something that I need to do?
So, and if you have known me longer, you know that I have been racking my brain for the longest time, thinking to myself, how can I use my voice to make the path of the generation that comes after me better than mine, easier than mine, more fun than mine? How can I just make it better in some way, even if it's in a tiny way? So in the journey that I've walked thus far, from my microbiology to my master's, I've had young people, come to me and be like, hi, Zakithi, we know you've done well in this. Can you please help me with this? And I'm always willing to help. I've gotten like so many DMs before I started my channel, because I post about, my work and my journey through science. So I've really been racking my brain. I thought, should I do like a blog? But I'm not really like a writer. Like I only write like scientifically. I'm like, should I do a blog, or should I do like, what can I do? What can I do? That was my major question that I used to ask myself all the time. And then now I am such a YouTube junkie as well. Like I binge watch people's channels on YouTube before I started my own.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, here's a platform. And I think I've told you this before, that I used to use YouTube in high school as a learning medium. Like I used to use Khan Academy. I used to look at science videos to explain certain things to me. And I'm like, wow, now here I am, like full circle, now putting myself on YouTube for other people to learn from me. So that was really the driving force and rationale behind that, is that I really wanted to use my voice, and I wanted to be a relatable person as well.
Yeah. Not
someone who I'm on your channel and I'm saying, hi, I'm Professor Mkhize and I'm 60 years old and this is what I've achieved. I honestly wanted it to be like, hey, I'm here, I'm young, I'm still walking the journey myself. So as much as we are learning together, I'm still walking it myself. But here's what I can offer. Here's, the different things that I've walked. And here's the kind of advice and knowledge that I can offer to you who is still starting the journey, who is thinking of starting the journey. So that was really the major driving force behind me doing it. And I'm so glad that I did, because I continue to get such positive feedback and, many DMs of people asking to know more and wanting to know more. And I honestly feel like it's overdue. And I remember actually starting the channel. I Googled Black Girl Scientist and I YouTube Black Girl Scientist because I thought to myself, I'm not the only one who has this idea. I'm sure the market is saturated with people like this. And I must say in the African continent, there's really no one. Like I could find no one who was actually out there giving advice on YouTube to people wanting to walk a journey through the science field. And I saw a gap in the market and I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. And that's exactly what I did.
Man, I love to see it. So you mentioned that you wanted to create a platform where you can be relatable and people can learn from you. So with that being said, what are some opportunities that you've shared maybe in your YouTube channel, or you plan to share in your YouTube channel, that being, a Black woman in science, or just being in science overall, what opportunities have been granted to you just because you are in this field that you probably wouldn't have gotten?
Yeah, so I feel like in this field of science, and you can probably attest to this as well, there's so much that we do not know. Like in terms of when you start your postgraduate degree, the funding opportunities that are there. The funding opportunities, if you just Google funding postgraduate degrees, there are thousands of hits. So I really wanted to highlight that because I felt like that was a major reason why young Black people especially don't pursue postgraduate studies, is because they want to go and work and then they end up in work that is very low paying. Whereas if you actually study further, you can get paid more than, let's say, a very entry level job. And then when you're done with that degree, then now you're more qualified, so you can get paid, more like that. So I really wanted to take out the factor of I need to work because I need to go make money and I need to go support my family. I really want to, and this is something that I'm still going to do on my channel. I've done a few videos that are giving advice on choosing the right supervisor, choosing the right research topic when you want to apply. And my channel also appeals to a wide range of audience. So I've also done like some videos for high school students for like what kind of subjects do you need to take to pursue a career in science. And now the next major thing that I'm doing, which is what I just started touching on, is funding. I really want to take out the factor of, like I said, young Black people, I need to go work, I need to support my family, I need money, because it's something that you can get also. And being a young Black woman is also something that puts you in an advantage, because if you look at the criteria for these funding organizations, they want to fund Black people and particularly Black women. So there's never been a better time really to be a Black woman than now. And I'm sure it's going to get better in the future, where we really organizations and funders really want to fund young Black people. So that's really the next kind of series that I want to do is the funding part. And I have so many ideas. If I tell you all of them, this podcast is going to go on for hours.
No, we'll keep it. I think that way also you can surprise everybody to be like, oh my word, let's tune into her channel. So, so that they can actually find out what you have in store for them.
Absolutely. I really want to break stereotypes as well about, being a scientist and many, many things that you guys will see on my channel then.
All right. So Zakithi, speaking of your channel and, getting more Black young females into science, in South Africa, it is Youth Month, right? This June is Youth Month. In fact, this podcast is released on the Monday. So tomorrow, which is the 16th of June, is actually Youth Day. And I think this is a great time for us to talk about the campaign that we are currently running. We are currently running together in conjunction with the Root of the Science podcast and BlackGirlScientist. So I don't want to talk about it. I want you to talk about it and why you thought it was a good idea for us to do this campaign to celebrate, because the campaign is celebrating Black people in STEM and particularly Black women in STEM in South Africa. So why did you think that this is something that we had to do, and why is it so important?
So I think it's really important, and because in everything that I've explained for the rationale behind my channel is really motivating young Black people and particularly young Black women. So I thought, what better way to do this than to show them, the Black women that are doing this already and that have done this. We already had some people on the channel that are already doctors, and they're young, super young people. So they're relatable and they've also achieved so much. And, someone said something very interesting in an interview that I was watching, is that it's very hard to dream something you cannot see. So if we as Black people, we cannot see other young Black women that are successful or that are walking the journey and on their path to success, then, who are we to even dream up this thing? So I really thought that it was important that people have points of reference and they can see that, hey, for example, here's Dr. B, or, here's Dr. Tato that we had on already. And, they're doing amazing things and they're sharing their stories and they've shared them so openly and so kind of uncensored and not glamorized it, and absolutely shared everything that it is to walk a journey through STEM. So it being Youth Month and Youth Day and kind of everything that I stand for and want to achieve in everything that I do, it was only really fitting that we do this, hashtag celebrating youth in STEM and the Black in STEM essay initiative.
Yeah, fantastic. And I definitely love that point that you say that it's hard to dream what you can't see. And I think, just to reemphasize the point of why we chose to do this, was that we really just wanted to create visible role models. I know people like to say this a lot, but there's something, like you said, that there's so much power in seeing somebody and hearing the story, because sometimes you think, oh my word, Zakithi is amazing, she's this PhD student, but when they get to tell you how they get there, you're actually like, oh, hey, okay, you know what, she also struggled here, or she also had troubles A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You kind of relate and you're like, okay, you find yourself a little bit in part of this. And I'm so excited to be collaborating with you. We've had a very successful week so far.
It's been amazing. And I have been inspired by the people that we've had on myself. And wow, I really have, some of the interviews have left me with goosebumps.
Goosebumps indeed. I mean, this is going to be the second week where we got another 5 phenomenal ladies that will be talking to us. So if you end up watching this a bit late, we've created a Instagram live series on each of our channels, so you can watch back some of these phenomenal interviews that I, Anne, and Zakithi, we take alternate days where we interview these phenomenal, and I mean, wow, every single time. Like when we started this, I was like, oh no, this is going to be something small. And I remember that day when I texted you, I was like, dude, like when we started this, we had a vision, but I think it like surpassed it all. Like, wow, I'm so excited for this. I am super excited. It's been great. And also, just to give everybody a brief, I think you're probably wondering how we met. So please tell them how we met, like how we even collaborated, how this whole thing came about. I think it's a really cool story.
Me too. I love this story. So as you guys know, we're in lockdown. I think we're on like day 78, or by the time this is released, we're on day 80 something. So we're in lockdown, and UKZN on Twitter, both Anne and I have Twitter. They posted a tweet that was like, hey, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during this lockdown? And I tweeted, because I started my channel during the lockdown. So I tweeted, hey, I started this channel called BlackGirlScientist. It aims to motivate, inspire, and encourage young Black people on their journey through STEM. And then someone else, and if you can come in here, I think her name is Christine.
Yeah. Christine, shout out Christine. She is the PR for my campus. Yeah. She tagged me.
She tagged Anne on this and was like, hey, great minds think alike kind of thing, a comment along those lines, tagging Anne. So I had no idea who Anne was. Anne had no idea who I was. And then so this Christine, really shout out to her because she brought us together. And then after that, Anne DM'd me, then that's when I got to learn about the Root of the Science podcast as well that she has. And we decided that we should collaborate. And it was kind of like, you know what, Anne, I'm only admitting this to you now, but I didn't think it would happen because, when you meet an old friend and it's like, hey, we should do lunch sometime. And it's like, sure. Yeah. I really thought it would be one of those, but I mean, both of us were so excited to be connected with each other, and we really brought to life like the collaboration that we spoke about in the DMs, and we brought it to life with this Youth Day initiative that we've done. So it was really a blessing to meet you, and via that way, and Christine who brought us together, and I'm super excited for collaborations that we'll do in the future as well.
Definitely, this is only the beginning. And you're right. Also, when I thought about it, I remember I was like, I should do a collaboration with her. And I remember even before I sent you that message, I was telling myself like, this would be really cool. We should collaborate. So then I don't know, one morning I was like, let me just DM this girl and be like, hey, do you want to chat via WhatsApp, whatever. And then even when I said to you, let's collaborate, we both didn't really know how. Actually, it was just like it all just came together very quickly. Like I think we had that one video call and we were like, hi. Let's do something like this, and then boom. So I'm so excited. Spontaneous things are always the best things. So I'm also very grateful for our connection and to more exciting things in the future. And then that's why I had to bring you on to be like, okay, you know what, let's talk to you. As much as we are working together, let's find out about you. So that's why you are on here today. And just to bring it back to your interview and why you are here, just in closing, I know you've said this a lot, you've spoken about this a lot in this interview, but I mean, just one final word for somebody who was like, wow, she's only 26, she's doing this amazing thing, she's working on such novel research in HIV research, and they're listening, or anybody else who's feeling a little bit stuck. What is that advice would you give them, if be it to pursue a career in STEM, and yours in particular, or just any final words for everybody that's listening?
Okay, I really want to say, this is probably something a lot of people say when it's, hey, any final words, but it's really important for, as much as you dream big, is to persist in your dreams. So it's all well and good to have this big, amazing dream, but you have to constantly and persistently work at achieving that dream. And it's not easy. It's not an easy journey. I feel like anyone who's on the journey of STEM or who has walked it, and even people that are successful way beyond our level, will tell you that it's not an easy journey. You need to persevere. A character trait that you really need to have if you want to walk this journey is to persevere, to be patient, and to persist. There are going to be days where you want to cry and give up, and it's okay. Take a day to just be like, I'm just going to not do anything today and be a couch potato. I feel like we're very hard on ourselves also as humans and as young Black people. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. It's okay to take a day. It's okay to take a day to be like, okay, do you know what? Today I'm feeling extremely overwhelmed. And for my own sanity and mental health, I am switching off. So it's okay to do that as well. But equally more important is to be persistent with your dreams. Like I said, it's all well and good to dream big, but you need to work at it every day. So that's what I would say in closing.
No, I love it. Persistency is key. We've been told that. I think sometimes we too often give up on our goals and say it's not working because we only tried once or twice or 3 times and it failed.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you just have to keep on keeping on.
And being a scientist and being a scientist and one of the traits that you see in looking at even ancient scientists is the consistency and the persistence that they had. The person that invented the light bulb, the telephone, they failed many times, but they picked themselves up and dusted themselves off and carried on. So I think we could really, really take something from them.
No, I absolutely love it. And it's been a pleasure chatting with you and letting everybody hear about everything that you've worked on. I've learned something, and I'm sure everybody else who's listening has also learned something in particular about HIV research as a whole. So thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and it really, really, I feel honored to be featured, and I've really enjoyed talking to you, collaborating with you, and I can't wait. And I wish you all the best also with the Root of the Sciences podcast, and I hope that it grows from strength to strength. And I can't wait to hear all the other people that are going to be on here as well.
Oh, thank you so much. Same to you. What you're doing as well is also pretty amazing, and it's only a pleasure to get you onto this platform. And that's why I have this platform, so that people can hear about not only your research but all the other amazing things that you're doing. So and to everybody else who's listening, thank you once again for taking the time to listen to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl and with an E. Until next time, bye.